Hi, folks. Agenda document is populated for the day, and if you could add your names to the attendees, I would appreciate it. We'll get started here in a minute or two as more folks join. All right, it is 2 minutes past. I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just in case you don't have it, I will drop a note to the agenda meeting notes. Welcome to the 112 release team meeting. It is Wednesday, September 19th. I'm Tim Pepper, the release lead. Thank you all for joining. Should be a fairly quick meeting today. I'm hopeful. Test grid status went positively green overnight in a lot of areas. As always, the meeting will be recorded and posted, so behave accordingly. So let's dive in. I've tweaked the agenda just a little bit to focus on the core topical buckets of remaining issues. We did go ahead and cut the release candidate yesterday. It seemed like we had a number of merges that were showing positive test results, so that seemed like it made sense to go ahead and do, and that also enables some follow-on work from cluster lifecycle around upgrade related things. So it made sense to go ahead and get that ball rolling. Release, we had announced earlier in the week that we're delaying to September 27th, so we basically have a week at this point. But once you factor in some of the slower running tests and a weekend, the general goal here would be kind of today, tomorrow, and Friday to be really having some confidence, let tests soak over the weekend and know that we are in good shape. And it's looking like we're on that trajectory, which is positive. So I'm going to run through the list of our current critical issues. We've been tracking a bunch of scalability things for the past 2 weeks, I would say, that have bubbled up into release blocker status. And as of today, we have basically word scalability folks are thumbs up and go on everything, nothing remaining as a release blocker. There had been a test flake, but they've got some good triage on it in the last 24 hours. It's something that's been present since 1.11, and they don't intend to block on it. And we'll continue to figure out a fix on it, probably put it in a patch release, but it'll also need backported at least to 1.11. So we're a go on scalability. We had a bunch of DNS issues, and these are all green as of today. The first one we'd had, or actually there were a cluster of things that had been kind of underlying issues. It seemed like in hosting, that stuff is all fixed and green now, those tests, aside from in some of the slower tests where it takes time for things to ripple through. So we have like a 5-hour test that hasn't picked up one of the changes just yet because it had started late last night, hadn't finished. The next one's just started, hasn't finished. So we're expecting the last of those to go green today. And then the core DNS topic broadly, scalability had continued looking at that along with Core DNS folks, but deemed not a release blocker, and that we've chosen to revert the default setting there for kube up deployments. And it does need to be release noted. So I've put a comment in the release notes that we should have a section there for known issues, and some tentative text is being worked on to describe the problem. There is also a PR going in to collect a little bit more data, but just collect some data and revert the patch then probably tomorrow, so no issues expected there. So folks are keen on resolving this, but not something that'll happen in 112 or be a blocker. And I'm not going to block merges like that right now because it's not a risky thing, and it helps the team to do that. So the next section, storage. This has been a bit troubling over the past weeks. We keep having a small little issue come up, get fixed, another issue come up. So kind of been a treadmill there, but we're making progress. So there's one more thing that had come up sort of yesterday, day before, and wasn't clear on status. So this is a CSI CRD issue. Their PR did actually merge early today. I'm a little bit worried on that one, so I want to watch for any additional stability issues that might come up in storage over the next 24, 48 hours. On the plus side, the SIG storage folks have been extremely responsive and are tracking this. Some of the SIGs we have to watch and notice and ping them. The SIG is on top of their stuff, noticing the failures themselves, proactively working on addressing them very rapidly. So I have that still colored yellow just because I feel like that latest change that went in today, something about it worries me, just in terms of its size and lateness and all of the discussion that happened yesterday on it. So kind of watching that, but it's trending green. The next bucket was around the horizontal pod autoscaler. The main issue definitely was fixed. Sully had been confident in the fix there, and it merged, and tests definitely went green. That had been a release blocker, but looking green there. There's 2 or 3 other little follow-on things, though. A closed additional issue got reopened yesterday with a refix. The refix is all correctly set, and Tide is working on merging it right now, I believe. So should be positive, but again, kind of watching that space. And then another race was noticed, and the merge, it also looks like it's going in today based on looking at the GitHub status and Tide. So folks have been super responsive there, and it actually maybe helps that Sully seems to be traveling but is in a different time zone, so we're getting almost that optimal kind of 24 hours of people looking at it across the clock. So things are on a positive trajectory there, and good test result cleanups.
Sorry, quick question. The HPA one, I see it passing on master, but it's failing on 112 blocking. It's because of something needs to be fixed.
Yeah, so the latest change going in there, when I look at and huge thanks to Aaron for last week really describing how to figure out which commit is in which test. The last failure that had shown up there did not have the latest commit that was expected to be involved on this one. So yeah, I think that's just the lag of stuff rippling through. Very good question. Networking, we'd had a IPVS issue that came up, but it looks like everything has merged there to be in good shape. And then the odd load balancing L7 GCE issue, that one was claimed to be sort of resolved later this week, but as of this morning, the tests are green, so I think the fix must have come in a little faster. And Aaron just mentioned in Zoom chat the guide that he had written. Really, really useful for anybody who's been trying to understand the flow of things and why it seems fixed there but not there, to be able to tunnel in and test grid, conclusively understand what code is under test where. So networking looks green and good. The final two.
Hello?
What's that, Gwen?
Oh, okay, you can hear me now. Sorry, Zoom's just making a mess. Keep talking.
You are a bit faint, but do you have anything you want to comment on?
Yes, but finish talking and I will say it after, because the moment has passed and I was trying to make Zoom work.
Cool. All right. Upgrade. I have a few questions here, and this is traditionally when upgrade gets a little funky because the so we've had some issues and unclear ownership and unclear symptoms overlapping with our other symptoms. As everything else is going green, it allows us to look a little more focused to upgrade, double check that things are okay. SIG cluster lifecycle seems positive on things, but we do have a merge that normally comes in around now, or a PR that should normally merge around now. The instance this time is 68789, and this is about changing the versions that they consume. And if they start to, if they merge that and it wants to consume 1.12 things that don't exist yet because we haven't released yet, we expect a set of tests to go red. But strangely, this one's failing a test in its pre-submit that isn't something that happened in the prior cycle. So need to get to the bottom of that today, and we'll need Tim St. Clair's help there. So I'll reach out there. And obviously this is a release blocker because KubeADM needs to be set to use 112. There's been a few little things going by in the last day around some certificate renewal things and a CLI fix, but these, so while release blocking, they look like really minor things and the SIG is all on top of them. So I'm not worried there, but just want to see that those merge today and that churn settles out. And then the image building that Dims had suggested we add a bucket to tracking specifically. Everything looks like it's on track there to my understanding. So I don't have any worries there. Dims, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Anything that you have seen going by additional to those three, or any worries that you have at this point?
The Cube DNS one went in last night, and there is a related PR that got filed this morning. If you look at 68830, that's the PR. So once that gets in, we should be good. There was one more.
And that one, 68830 Tide is working on merging right now.
Yeah, so yeah, that's good. There was one more. Let me dig that up. This was HCD, I think. I have to go back and check. I don't know why it's not showing up here. So sorry about that. Yeah.
No,
let me look at that and we'll talk at the end.
Look and chat, man.
If you can find that, I'd appreciate it, because I'm not seeing any open issues or PRs right now around at CD that are milestone tagged.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll follow up then later today on that. A couple other tiny little things have gone by. Aaron, your thing to get coverage metrics should be merging. So as always, there's things that folks are pushing in and can, but yesterday I did a little bit of holding on some things just to limit the merges coming in, so we don't have a whole bunch of believed okay stuff, trivial, merging at the same time, just to meter the merges and make sure we get solid test data on just the couple critical things we're looking for. So a few things coming through there, and one of the big ones then that came up, so big, small, depending on how you look at it, XD, Jeff Grafton, noticed that Golang released 1.10.4 almost a month ago, and we didn't catch that. So it's got a couple things that look like important from a toolchain perspective to have in probably. So there's a high likelihood that'll go in today. I would have unheld it this morning, except for the fact that that CSI CRD thing came in surprisingly. So I want to get a set of test runs with that by itself before merging another thing. And then, yeah, as Aaron notes, anytime we change something major like this in the toolchain, it could impact anything and everything. So I want to know that that one goes in by itself, and we have a runway of a number of days yet to see clear green test results. Looking at what changed, and because it's a .4, I wouldn't expect an issue, but you gotta worry on something like this. We should have made the change 3.5 weeks ago. but I think it would be sort of it would be a shame and kind of personally embarrassing if we didn't have this in, given the lag between when it upstream had released it. It's yeah. And that's basically it. So we're really starting to look a lot better. Only a few things open and only mildly worrying. Yay.
I have a question. I'll go after Gwen.
Okay, Gwen.
So sorry. This is really super distracted by the fact I have no video. So, gosh, this is really, anyway, there's another issue. I put that in the notes, and I'm sorry. I can't follow the new outline quite as well yet. I'm super confused where my issues are and how everything connects. Give me a second here. Anyway, go ahead, Aish. I'm gonna have to get organized here.
Okay. Tim, are we specifically waiting for any more fixes for the GC upgrade test to clear up, or do you need any help tracking it internally with the Google Forms?
I think I talked to folks yesterday on Slack also just to confirm, as far as I know at this point, there is nothing remaining. Things look good on that front.
Okay.
The only failures that I'm seeing are ones where I'm expecting the changes ripple through.
Okay.
And I think I do need to double check today's build what commit it's on. Let's see. This is running. Glancing at a couple.
Yes, for a change GKE or all passing. Zara notes, yeah. The same dashboard, that's why. Yes.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So if you compare that way, yeah, I'll double check later. But yeah, if you compare the GCE versus GKE, like things that are rippling through, it looks like the normal trajectory there. And then looking at the specific commits, I believe the last tests had either had a slight wobble and some expected things had actually passed, or depending on which one you're in, like some of the release 112 branch, I think, are slightly trailing.
Okay.
The fixes hadn't landed in the last one, but yeah, I think everything looks good there.
All right, we have an open PR 68830, which has passed all checks, and has LGTM and approval. But it currently cannot be merged because we have protected branches now, right?
68830
Yeah.
is that one.
Yeah.
That one's just working through Tide. Tide should merge it sometime soon.
Okay.
I believe. Oh,
It says the base
sorry, that's
yes. Merging to authorized users. So we cut a pre-release yesterday?
But that doesn't change anything there.
Okay, then I'm confused.
Where do you have a?
Am I?
Maybe need to refresh. It looks like just in the last hour it shows us all clear and Tide is showing it.
This is bizarre. I've
had a few instances where GitHub in my browser get a little out of sync.
I am like at a different time in GitHub right now, so this is bizarre. I literally just loaded it though, like. Okay, I'm
your browser. I've had a couple issues like that where I was getting stale data and I knew that other stuff had happened because my Gmail was showing me comments that had come through. But yeah, so 6.8 looks like it's all good and on the right trajectory and should merge anytime.
Okay, great. So that's cool. Never mind me. Then the updating CSI to eTest for the CSI CRDs got merged. You mentioned that. It actually fixes two bugs. It fixes the host path tests failing, and it also fixes the attach detach controller does not specify validation schema. That's why that pull request is so big. But you mentioned earlier that that you were a little worried because it's pretty big and been this big follow-up from a lot of working through and reverting and fixing. It's been in the works for a while. It's been worked on for like a few weeks, I think. Well, a little over a week, but the issues have been worked through for 2 weeks. So I'm actually fairly confident that, and I'm actually a little less worried than you.
Okay, cool.
That's all I wanted to say earlier.
Okay. Yeah, I think I really appreciate comments like that. I'm probably trending towards hyper paranoid. So as others have a sense of maybe a little bit better comfort, it's really nice to hear that. And we'll see. We'll know in the next 12 to 18 hours or so as all of that ripples through the test chain.
I am, yep, still super confused. Thanks, Aaron, for that ping. I am, maybe I need to log out of GitHub and log back in again. I don't know.
Any other issues or PRs or test failures that anybody else wants to mention? The open issue count has gone down. Lots of things have closed. There's no open issues on failing tests right now. And everything I'm seeing in test grid this morning, I believe is expected to be fixed by stuff we have rolling through. So that's really positive. And the PR count is also, the open PR count has gone down, and there's a number of these I still think are liable to be finally kicked out.
Tim, the PR that I mentioned was 59664. It says manifest for infra images, but there is HCD in there.
Just looking.
And it's not marked milestone, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that looks like it would be the case based on the comments. And there's no, I'm just glancing through the commit, there's no version change here. This is just the manifests, right?
Yeah, so
And,
I'll check with XD,
okay.
and then we'll see if we need to do something there. It was low on my radar because of the kubedns stuff that I was looking at and the other thing that came up yesterday, but I missed this one.
Okay.
Then the other one that I wanted to ask was RC2. Do we do a RC2?
At this point, I'm not seeing a lot of reason to, but we could go ahead and do one on the 25th or maybe the 24th next week if we're feeling like it.
Yeah, I would like to try for us to do that, please. So one of the bugs that showed up yesterday and we quickly fixed was because somebody was using the beta 1 and they ran into a problem with kubeproxy and kubedium. So the reason yesterday I was pushing for the debs and RPMs was because that will help with additional testing. I can, once I have the URLs for the deb and RPMs, I can write a small note on how to test it in a fresh environment. So that's why I wanted to do this. I can't do RC1 yet because I don't think the debs and RPMs are out yet. And if we plan for a RC2 and we make sure that the deb and RPMs get kicked off immediately, then we can write things up and ask people to try it out. I'll volunteer to write a note if we are able to push the artifacts out.
Okay, I'll check.
I have a
I'll
weird.
check on the RC1 RPMs and debs and let you know, and then we can make a decision on whether we want to iterate on that front once.
We've had a bug fix PR come in just an hour ago. Did you see that? And it was for some reason labeled priority critical urgent, which
What's the general topic of it?
update kubeadm v1 alpha 3 example configuration. It's a typo.
Updated an hour ago. That was after
Or, I mean, it's
I
not,
was last looking.
it updates the GoDoc example, which seems like not a milestone issue. I mean, maybe that's just, I'm a little surprised something like this is coming up like this late in the game.
Yeah, we often get little docs misses like that. It's got the SIG lead's approval. I'm just gonna double check it's just, yeah. I mean, I see no harm in letting that in.
Right. I think this one was, there has been a lot of churn in the kubeadm examples and for the configurations, right? So they just want to get it right to avoid a lot of heartburn later. And this specifically was, they were asking the godoc.org, these show up in godoc.org.
Yes.
So they were asking if we can push this out so they can do a refresh on that.
Sure, except it's still, there's a lot of discussion. People are arguing about definitions.
Yeah, and it's still comments, right?
It's got approval, but
right. The whole thing is a comment, so it's no change in code.
So I'm a little grumpy on that one.
Yeah, I'd certainly rather see that looking tighter. It's sort of the same worry that I had with that CSI storage CRD. Like, why is there this much deep active conversation this late? But since it's documentation, I mean, and we have a week yet, I'm okay with them, even if they iterate on it. I mean, if Tim St. Clair approved it, it goes in and they have a follow-on to adjust it a little more. I feel like there's practically no risk on us for this one. So I would bias towards them getting it right. I just would have preferred that sooner as well.
Okay. If they haven't been merged by Friday, I'm going to kick them out. Right?
Yeah, I totally think that's fair. Aaron asked about Doc's deadline. So Doc's website deadline was 7th of September, but I don't know, this is sort of a slightly different space.
Is this in generated documentation?
No.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
in code-based stuff that flows through to the GoDoc site, not the Kubernetes site. So I mean, I guess it's generated.
Right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Not generated code, generated docs. Yeah, that's a term we use on the documentation side. We don't actually do that. Whatever the publishing aspect of that is, until like when the release is like, yes, we're going right now. And at that point, we generate everything.
Yep. So this one won't touch on you at all. So there's.
Yay!
Yeah. I guess another way to look at this is, well, say this was coming up in 1.11. Would they cherry pick this patch to 1.11? I don't know. I could see an argument for it, but yeah. So Aaron, the gap between the 7th and the 18th, the PRs were supposed to be ready and done, effectively merge ready at the beginning of the month, and the lag for getting everything in, like yesterday, was more like if there were translations and the follow-on things within the docs team. So I don't know. But we'll watch it and see. We can see what happens there. But yeah, I also agree with Aaron's assessment there in the Zoom that sort of, I mean, I have to defer to the SIG leads, but the symptom here is like bang, 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 apply all the labels so that it can merge, even though it's not ready. And the SIG lead shouldn't actually be doing that. They should be saying, is this thing ready? The same as us. All right. I'm gonna move on to docs since we were kind of starting to talk about that. Zach, do you have any docs worries? Need any help on anything?
I'm going to be pinging folks on my side. Just need some more reviews from people and help cleaning up grammar. Because as a programmer by trade, I sometimes miss spleeing errors because I put them in variable names and all that good stuff. So yes, I also misspelled the word spelling. So
You're fired.
Thanks. So yeah, we're planning on having everything merged and the release branch to AO done release. Friday by the end of the day.
Okay. Release notes. Nick, I've got one thing for you, but anything that you have to talk about today?
Actually, I was going to give this to Lindsay because apparently we're reorganizing again.
Okay.
So go for it, Lindsay.
Okay, we were just going to take into account some of the conversation that was happening yesterday and create a duplicates sort of bucket at the top of the document for all of the release notes that have duplicate entries at the moment. So hopefully SIG leads could go through that and just let us know which label they should fall under, which heading they should fall under.
Okay. I appreciate that. It's a shift, but it's also a pragmatic one. If people are struggling, we can try to make their lives easier.
I gotta go, guys. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Aish. So the one thing that I had on release notes, because of the core DNS stuff, what's been determined out of scalability testing and the decision to leave it reverted is something deserving of a release note in terms of being a known issue. And then I know in the past we've had a known issue section in the release notes, but I just realized in the draft there isn't one. So I definitely have a candidate piece of text to add to that section.
Yeah, that's absolutely not a problem. We just didn't start it yet. We should probably also have a known issue tracking PR.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and start one, that would be awesome.
Alrighty. I will open up a tab to remind myself to do that after. All right.
And I'm afraid I'm going to have to jump out.
Okay, no problem.
Right.
We should be at the end. Anybody that needs to drop, feel free. Caitlin, anything on comms that we need to worry about? Any help or input you need? Oh, and actually,
I don't think
Caitlin's not on.
here.
Yep.
So just, I guess, just an update for you, Tim. Yes, I'm going to be re-reviewing the blog post. Just make sure everything looks sane now that everything is kind of shifted. We also have something scheduled media-wise for Monday, I think. So just a heads up. I think Kristen or Kelly maybe would have reached out to you.
Yes. Yep.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Then the only other thing briefly to mention, branch management, we already talked about, we cut the release candidate. No particular issues there. And I'm feeling like we're on track at this point to probably have our code thaw on Monday. So as the week progresses, I'll probably announce that out to folks, probably being assuming we stay on a healthy trajectory here. So things are looking good for the release at this point. I feel like a few more things to nail down this week. Any
Tim,
last comments from anyone? Yes. Mm-hmm.
let's update the README .md. I was looking at it still has the old date as if you're moving the release.
Ah, yes. Uh-huh.
And Sorry, somebody said something.
Sorry. Also, you reminded me, Tim. Also the calendar invites.
Right.
There are marks in the community calendar right now with that date.
Yeah, that'll be good to fix as well. And the last thing is, the cherry pick deadline is 21st still, right?
Yep, and I'm comfortable with that. I mean, going back to just my last statement of thinking that by the end of the week we should be able to declare that we're ready to thaw a master, but we're going to defer that till Monday. So again, I think cherry pick at that point is reasonable.
Okay, so can we do the RC2 when we do the cherry pick deadline?
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. That's all I had.
Just noting that down. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Sorry we went a few minutes over. We'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully. And hopefully
Later,
we'll continue
Gators.
to have good results. Have a great day, everyone.